Morning, ladies and gents. It's the middle of the week, smack bang crack in the middle of the week. You need to start as we mean to go on. You have to be methodical and practice. You can't do anything half-hearted in this world if you want to be successful. If you want to pass, if you want to progress onto the next stage, you need to stay away from alcohols and narcotics, or either that or try and do things in moderation. Page 34. Here we go on the module A328. How do empires begin? How do empires begin? Page 34. The term gunpowder empires gained further traction in William H. McNeill's 1981 work, The Pursuit of Power, which argued that gunpowder and firearms were the key factor in the development of these early modern empires. Numerous sieges and battles in Ottoman and Mughal history support this interpretation. Firearms and artillery were certainly powerful tools of imperial expansion. However, it's worth noting that they were sometimes less effective than bows and arrows and were best used in combination. Nevertheless, the rapid spread and utilization of gunpowder technology was significant because it shifted the balance of power from local to centralized authority in terms of their ability to attack their local populations through force, and because it propelled an increased need for central state revenue to fund the technology, leading to greater competition for resources and commerce. Below the gloss of the term gunpowder empires, Hodgson, McNeill, and specialist Ottoman and Mughal historians have shown how these empires grew from nomadic polities to highly complex military bureaucratic conquest regimes. We're looking at section 4.2 of the module. Islamic gunpowder empires, Ottomans, Safavids, and Mughals. Douglas Streisand has produced a work that is carefully researched and well written. He charts the intricate history of the three Islamic empires: the Ottoman of the Near East, the Safavid of Iran, and the Mughal of India. In chiefly the 16th and 17th centuries, the determined general, reader, and advanced student will find this thoughtful account very rewarding, for it offers a fair synthesis of much scholarship, albeit mostly that published before 2006. Each Empire's Allocator, a chapter in which similar section on history, sovereignty, religion, and law, expansion and military organization, and central and provincial administration allow comparisons to be made. Page 36. The book benefits from an extensive bibliography, a glossy of terms, a set of dynastic tablets, and a bibliographic essay. It has several maps, but these are disappointing. The geography of empire is an important factor in showing the connections within the Islamic world and with the West. But here, boundaries, both physical and political, and their change over time are marked by barely distinguishable shades of grey and imperfectly dotted lines. The cover illustration seems more promising, for this watercolour of the late 16th century, laced with gold, depicts in lively fashion the Mughal success of 1577 in capturing the fort Al Bundi in Rajasthan. Here are fierce warriors with bows and arrows, spears and scimitars, riding horses urged on by the beat of the camelback drums. But where either here in the text is the gunpowder? firepower promised by the little which would make the book particularly interesting and relevant to the readers on this journal. It is surely time to unpack the useful concept of gunpowder empires and put it to work. Since the term was introduced nearly 40 years ago by Chicago historians Marshall G.S. Hodgson and William H. McNeill, it has become a useful shibboleth, a password requiring little or no explanation. Struson declares in the preface that one of his main aims will be to re-evaluate the concept of the gunpowder empire, but the book reveals that the emphasis is much more on empire than on gunpowder. Perhaps the term military patronage state, as discussed by Struzand, would be more appropriate component of the title, were it not for the fact that there is now a growing body of the work on science and technology of gunpowder making, which should make possible a more informed use of the term gunpowder empires. But although Struzand refers to Gabor Agostin's magistral work, Guns for the Sultan, he mentions only his general remarks on the flexibility of Ottoman society with regard to firearms and makes no use of Agostin's detailed study of the production of gunpowder. Similarly, Struzan refers to Jos Goemon's splendid work, Mughal Warfare, but notes his account of Mughal political and military geography rather than armament production. There is now other work too, for example, that published in Icon Journal of the International Committee for the History of Technology, and in the two volumes supported by the organisation Gunpowder, the History of International Technology, and Gunpowder, Explosives and the State, a technological history. The former has chapters by Jixin Pan on rockets in China and by I. Qutidar Alam Khan on the Mongols and gunpowder and firearms in South Asia. The latter includes chapters by Walter Panciera on the production of the gunpowder in Venice in the 16th century, and Jose Manuel de Mascarenhas pursues the evidence for the subject in Goa, on the southwest coast of India, neatly linking two extremes of the trading interests of the Islamic empires. The contribution by this reviewer and saltpeter, a commodity of empire, describes saltpeter production in India and the shipment from the early 17th century of this product to Britain, a gunpowder empire in the making. The examples suggest that the term is too useful to be abandoned, but the development of the concept should be taken as signalling a retreat into technological determinism, rather a request that the gunpowder should be put back into gunpowder empires. Dr. Brenda Buchanan at the University in Bath. Her most recent publication is The Birth of British Gunpowder Engineering Overseas, The Case of the Mole and Tangaya. In Angus Buchanan, ed. The discussion for this activity is at the end of the unit. The role of the military technologies was crucial in the rise of preservation of these empires. The use of muskets by the Ottomans against their enemies, and the use of artillery by the Mughals against theirs. But some academic arguments overstress military technology as a factor. Military technologies could be the catalysts, and they were necessary. But to what extent did they need to work in combination with other factors? Stephen Dow's 2004 book, The Muslim Empires of the Ottomans, Safavids and Mughals, places Islam as a key in influence of the political, military, economic, linguistic, literary and religious traditions of these empires. Yet, at the same time, Dow tries to assert that these empires can't be reduced to Islam alone. Note that both the Ottoman and Mughal conquest elites were Muslim, and in the terms of their exercise of the rule of difference, a term you encountered for Unit 3. They stressed Islam as a key part of their identity. What we might call an Islamic imperial imaginary, another term you encounter in three, was assisted by Muslim scholars, was constructed the early historical account of these empires. However, the early Mughals placed less stress on this, drawing more the Mongol Great Khan tradition of the universe overlordship, encouraging different religious debate. Therefore, we need to consider in this unit, in our readings of primary sources, and to what extent Islam played a role in the rise of trajectory of these empires. A crucial way to understand these genres of both Ottoman and Mughal empires, and need in all other empires, is through the sources that have survived. Both empires emerged in societies that enjoy sophisticated literary, reflective, and analytical cultures. However, there are significant gaps in these sources. Materials authored by women and majority peasant subject population are largely absent. That's because owing to gender, class, and power relations in the region at the time. These groups were largely illiterate. Whenever we encounter an archive of primary sources, it's always vital to consider how the materials that were preserved got there in the first place, and what voices are not included within such archives. Ottoman and Mughal historians are interested in the perspectives of women, peasants, and other subaltern groups over such crucial formative periods of these empires. But these perspectives are limited within the archival record. As historians, we have to recognise that there will always be gaps in our understanding of the past and understanding why this is so. You explore these issues in subsequent sections and through activities that deliberately draw you on a variety of primary sources so that you can read and hear Ottoman and Mughal voices in own words, going back to the point made in the introduction about comparison. Two important questions to ask about the Ottoman and Mughal sources you encounter are: how are they similar? How are they different? Early Mughal imperial administration, both the Muslim Ottomans and the Muslim Mughals came to rule over significant of non-Muslims. This section will explore how a Muslim conquest elite ruled over the majority non-Muslim population, as outlined in section 3. The Islamic beliefs of this ruling elite did play a role in how empire was administered, but it is inadequate to paint the Mughals as simply another Muslim or Islamic empire. Complex religious, cultural, political influence combined to shape and theory and practical and of imperial rule. Adapted by Emperor Abkar and his ministers, not least to the Steppe Empire, legacies of Mongol and Timurid rule, which you encountered in section 2. As we saw earlier, Babur's death left Mughal control confined to garrisons holding key cities in North India. Once Humayun was able to restore Mughal's rule, his early death left the teenage Akbar with his first problem, reducing the power of the 30 Uzbek, Afghan, and Iranian military commanders that Humayun had relied on. With the guidance of his regent, Barim Khan, Akbar brought in new military commanders from Central Asia to dilute the power of these men and consolidate the administration of the empire. This section will explore the main features of this system. The key themes that you will emerge are administrative innovation and the co-option and accommodation of non-Muslims. A key outcome of this system was that it gave the Mughal Empire durability. Mughal direct rule, like its Ottoman counterpart, was centralized to consolidate the rule of power, deeply entwined with the army. Don't allow for hereditary ownership of land. However, it was administratively more intensive than the Ottoman system. The backbone of Mughal administration was the Zabdari rank holding system. Akbar granted land revenues significantly paid for in cash from the imperial treasure to military commanders and government officials in return for their service. These grants were known as mansabs. Grant holders called mansabdars were asked were tasked with ensuring that the revenue was collected in the first place. The imperial centre closely tracked who was mansabdar. Under Akbar, most of these office holders were Muslim soldiers from Central Asia to and Iran, but 15% were Hindus. We'll explore Akbar's inclusion of non-Muslim in imperial administration shortly. Appointment was based on merit, not inheritance, with promotion dependent on the empire's favour. Akbar could draw on a wide pool of talent for his administrative class. Many Mughal historians have described this as a system of administrative regimentation. Like the Ottoman Tamar holders, mansabers were expected to provide horsemen according to Sorwar rank that was democratic decimally from 10 to 5,000. Mansabers, as well as others in the Mughal apparatus, also had that prestige rank, which showed their place in the hierarchy. Mansabdars were committed to serving the person of the empire, drawing on a strippy nomadic ethos on being Namek Halali, loyal to the salt of one's commander, irrespective of ethnic, linguistic, or even sectarian differences. Akbar and the ministers were keen to prevent Mansabdars from building up local power bases that could challenge imperial rule. So these office holders were frequently rotated throughout North India. Below this administrative grade, it was mostly Hindus who staffed the lower echelons of local administration. The agrarian system, the Mughal ability to consistently extract revenue from the land enabled them to fund their armies with ceaseless campaigns. Indeed, most revenue derived from agricultural taxes. They also benefited from influx of silver specie from the mines in Spanish Colonial America, which you encounter in Unit 5. The Europeans used to pay for India's cash crop exports, including especially high desired cotton textiles. Mughal took between 2 and 4% of this export revenue in the custom duties. Manzabdars were assigned the right to collect tax revenues from the land. This required accommodation with local leaders, who become known by the Mughal term zamindars. The initial period of Mughal rule, these leaders maintained their landed estates and armed forces by imposing taxes on local peasantry in the form of goods services given in tiny numbers of Mughal elite. Coercion and zamindars and peasants was possible, but it was better for the Mughals to co-opt them into the imperial system. The Mughals gradually accommodated and incorporated zamindars.